to another episode of the Mannschrecks. I'm Sarah.
And I'm JJ. We have a whole bunch of updates before we get in. So do you want to give us a quick update on, I think her name was Charlotte, the stingray that was pregnant?
That was sad.
I know.
Charlotte the stingray has passed away.
I know.
Yeah, it was such a crazy story because we got all excited thinking it was like this cool development.
Interbreed,
different
and then
species. Only to find out a couple weeks later that it was actually like a reproductive...
something. Sickness.
Yeah, sickness.
Disease,
like she had like a reproductive disease. And then more recently she has now passed away. So, yeah poor Charlotte. She's...
Was
no
not pregnant with mutant babies like we thought maybe she was.
Would have been cool, but...
would have been kind of
sad.
cool. But I feel like there was another thing.
Yeah, what was your update? You had another update?
No, we already did the Weird Al, the apologetics thing.
Yes, we did.
We already did all that. That was a fun one from last.
That was enough updates.
I feel like we should bring that back because the list was so long, right? They've done thousands, and so we could definitely revisit that in the future because that was a lot of fun.
That was a fun little thing.
In the meantime, are you ready for Sponsor Your Life?
Nope, because it's the news desk first.
You're right. Let's do that first. I need to
jump
go to bed.
It's not even 8 o'clock yet.
I know, it's terrible. I'm just tired. Why was that so funny?
Was that so... It wasn't.
I'm
anyway.
just laughing at your laughing now.
Sorry. It was the delivery. It wasn't funny. Anyways, my first story. A New York town gets a little aggressive with lazy litter bugs. Okay.
Wait, what?
So a town in New York is aiming to clean up its chronic littering problem with an aggressive anti-littering campaign and steep fines.
Yes.
Okay. So the town is called Babylon? I'm confused.
Oh, that would be hilarious.
Operation Clean campaign was launched with an ad showing a serial litterer getting some karma in the form of a garbage truck dumping its load on his lawn. These are their anti-littering signs, which have been recently erected. Why are you littering? A, I'm lazy. B, I don't care about natural areas. C, my mommy still cleans up after me. D, all of the above. These are on signs.
I like it. That's sassy.
Oh my gosh.
That's so. You know what it used to be? People used to be held in check by public the shame and shame culture between neighbors. People would look down on each other if you did something bad.
Yeah.
But then we had this aggressive anti-shame campaign.
Oh my
right?
gosh.
No shaming of anyone for anything ever. Don't yuck somebody else's yum or whatever. And so now the government has to do the shaming for us.
Oh my gosh. It says, why do we have to be the moniker of being slobs? Why do we have to have the moniker of being slobs? That's why we're literally getting in everyone's face now and saying enough is enough, says town supervisor Richard Schaefer.
That's amazing.
The town has said more than 250 tons of road trash has been picked up so far this year.
That's gross. 250 tons?
Another 15,000 pounds of trash has been removed from the creeks in the surrounding area.
That's so disgusting.
We want to show people that if you are littering, you're doing something totally irresponsible and immature.
100%. Totally agree. And as someone who now lives on a house next to a very busy road,
people often litter.
We get so much litter, and it's so gross. And I like the amount of times I've had to clean the front of my yard, and it was bad to begin with when we moved in.
Yes.
And it just people just throw stuff out the window driving
the
by.
amount of liquor bottles that we find just disposed in our front yard. Glass bottles.
Yep.
We have children, and people just don't.
And they're broken. They're always broken.
Always broken. It's just shameful how much trash we find. So
yeah, I love it. So they're shaming. They're putting up obnoxious signs and then imposing really steep. I like it.
It says first-time offenders of littering can face a fine up to $1,000.
Dude, I'm so on board. I love it.
Sometimes you just got to come down hard on stuff that is just, come on.
I think that this should be something that, your neighbors should get in your face about. You know, it's come on, man. This is we want our neighborhoods to be
Sometimes it's okay
nice.
to call people out on stuff. Honestly, and if you know something is bad for that's just a no-brainer. Don't throw your trash on the ground.
Yep.
You can hang on to it until you find a trash can. Lots of places have public trash cans.
Totally.
You can find a trash can and dispose of it there.
And so if Babylon, New York is cracking down.
A town in Long Island, isn't that crazy?
That's a good story. I like it. I like it. I wish I had signs like, my mommy still cleans up after it. It's so,
It's so snarky. Like, I could never say that to someone, but a sign. That's not
That's very passive-aggressive for the introverts. I could say it to somebody. Just like, honestly, though, I will say, most of the time, I don't actually witness a lot of littering. You know what I mean? I've
seen people litter. I see people litter out of their cars a lot.
If I saw it, I would. Well, cars. I mean, you can't really.
You can't do anything when you're seeing them in a car. Like, what are you gonna do? Yell at them?
Well, especially if you're driving a car. I have seen that where people dump stuff out the window and you watch them do it, and it's like, oh, come on, man.
People do it who smoke do it literally every day.
All the time. Yep.
Multiple times a day.
We were at that hotel, and there were cigarette butts everywhere, and the kids were like, "What are these?" And Liam knew what they were, and he was like, "Oh, gross!" It was so funny.
It happened when we were at the zoo. Like, the zoo literally says, "Thank you for not smoking on our property," and we were standing there while these people were walking through the zoo smoking, and I'm like,
"Come on, guys!
Are you kidding me?" And then they just flicked it on the ground, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh!"
I feel like we've moved past that as a culture. It's like, come on.
There was an awful story that I read a couple. Did we do that story on this podcast? I was reading a story about how a really rare animal at a zoo in Texas, I don't remember where it was, died from, you know, those little food pouches that parents give their kids, like the little snack pouches, like toddlers, babies, yep.
Yeah.
The little plastic cap. Apparently, there's a strict policy. The zoo does not allow snacks like that because those little plastic caps are often littered. People will just they'll throw them on the ground, or kids will throw them on the ground.
Wow,
whatever.
No, we did not talk about this.
There was an animal that died from choking on one of those, and they tried to save the animal, and when they finally they removed that from its throat, and that was the cause of death. Was one of those, which is banned. It said someone chose to disobey our policy and littered this. Animal got it and died, and I was like, there are consequences to your actions, people.
Wow.
Like, I was shocked. So yeah, it's just a no-brainer. Like, you don't, if there's a policy and you know what's good, you just don't do it. Like, come on.
That's crazy.
So yeah.
All right, well, the animals are fighting back, because in my first story, and I think you saw this one, but I got to tell you about it anyways. Dog turns on stove and sets his house on fire.
I want to know how the dog turned the stove on.
It's amazing. So, Colorado Springs firefighters responded to a call about a possible house fire in the early morning hours of June 26th. So this is like last week, or 2 weeks ago. Anyways, investigators discovered the surprising cause of the blaze after reviewing the home security footage. So they have video of the dog doing it.
Oh my gosh.
It's pretty great.
Authorities
have released a video of a dog starting a house fire by turning on the stove in the middle of the night. So dog is a pretty big dog. I don't know names of dogs, but the dog is big enough that their paws can reach the knobs.
Okay.
Right? And so they jump up on the counter. I think they were reaching for whatever's on the counter.
Of course.
And then they turn the knobs and turn the stove on. The incident happened when a Colorado couple awoke to a high heat alert from their Apple HomePad last week, only to find a fire blazing in their kitchen.
Ooh.
So they like...
that's one time where I'm like, oh, that's helpful.
Yeah, it's pretty handy to have your house all wired up.
They're alerting you before it becomes a real danger.
Heat alert. So they go down. The firefighters responded, but the video shows the curious couple's pup inspecting the stove and accidentally turning it on, which ignited some boxes which were on top of the stove.
Oh, so lit the burner, gas burner.
Yep. So the nice part about the story is that the owners were able to extinguish the flames.
Oh, good.
They actually put it out themselves. The firefighters responded to the call, but by the time they got there, the fire was actually out.
Oh, good.
The man was treated for smoke inhalation. And you saw the video. I mean, it's a lot.
It is
smoke,
actually a pretty significant little fire.
Yeah, like, I'm not really sure what kind of boxes they are. They're like white, and it's kind of big. Maybe it's styrofoam, or maybe it's like Chinese takeout boxes, something like that. But it's a little too big for that.
Was pretty flammable, at least.
But the corner of it was on the burner, and they turned the little pup just reached up, turned the, I'm gonna guess Chinese takeout, because why else would the dog be sniffing at them?
Yeah, it's gotta be some kind of food, something that's highly flammable though, like whatever's in it, the dog's interested in, and accidentally.
Pretty handy that the Apple Home, whatever it was, alerted them, and that they were able to get it out. They're definitely gonna have to buy some new cabinets, probably replace the stove and the microwave, but. Honestly, that could have been a lot worse. They could have burned the whole house down, and I'm assuming insurance will help them out.
Oh, it's a crazy story.
Ooh, so nuts. A dog.
Yeah.
As well, and it was kind of like, it's like, guys, don't put flammable stuff on top of your stove.
Yeah.
Ever. You know,
like I think about, like, we have set stuff on our stove before. Do you remember when we lived in the UP and we had the induction top like that one?
Yes.
That they showed in the video, and like the burner was off, but it was still hot, and you accidentally set our old high chair tray on it, and it melted to it, and it was like,
I do remember that.
That's hot. But we
it was
never
off, and
like
it was still
it was
hot.
off. Yeah, and it was still hot enough to melt that. So I'm just thinking about, like, all the other places we lived, we've always had an electric
100%.
stove, but we've never actually set something flammable on it. Right now, ours are it's like an old stove, so it's raised coils, so I don't think we would ever set anything on top of it if it wasn't. Yep. But, like, that's scary to think about. Like, a kid could do that. A kid not paying attention. Like, the only upside we have to the stove now is the burners are actually on the back top instead of being down on the front like they used to.
Yeah, the dog wouldn't have been able to reach that.
No, but it's just...
The little dials are way up high.
The dog's not going to know, but that's crazy.
Poor pup.
I know, it was very scared.
Yeah, it was. The poor thing you saw it. What
did I do? All right. Well, my second story is not that exciting, but it does have something to do with heat. It says, time flies as wonky clock hands seem to have melted in the extreme heat. We'll be fixing it. So there's apparently a clock tower, and
Where are we?
Yeah, so I'm trying to think. Where does it say we are? It says Keynsham, Somerset. I'm guessing it's in England somewhere. It says, residents of Keynsham, Somerset were left stunned after one of the faces of the town's central clock tower appeared to have melted.
Wow.
Okay. So many of the townsfolk, yes, it's in England.
Nice.
It says it was commissioned near Bath. It says, so many of the townsfolk compared the odd face to Salvador Dali's famous painting.
Yeah, of course.
The clock tower is actually only 9 years old.
They just don't make them like they used to.
Yeah, the striking appearance is a new look for one of the clock tower's faces. So it's apparently a clock tower, and it has 3 sides.
Yeah.
And each side has a clock face.
Yep.
So the other sides look totally normal. Nothing's wrong with it. But one of the clock hands seemed to have, like, remained, while fully attached, loosened from its casing and looks like it's, like, melting apart. So, like, the normal ones look like a normal clock. Yep. Like, it's just a clock face. But one of them looks so weird. I don't understand it. It's, like, broken and melting.
Oh, man.
And it says, it's a speculation that the recent hot weather in this southwest English town caused the hands to melt.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, I didn't even honestly know that was possible.
It's one of the most annoying things about the modern world is that we just make everything worse. And we do it on purpose. Like, we used to fashion things that were thick and could last in anything, and now we make them plastic and meltable.
Isn't that bizarre? Like,
that's crazy.
I can't. It says, the large clock tower is made up of digitally printed, toughened, and curved glass, a granite plinth, and an outer polyurethane resin casing, the news site stated.
So not,
it's like,
not good enough.
Not the quality stuff. Like, it's melting in the sun. Like, I just can't imagine being like, what time is it? Oh, it's what the heck happened to the clock? Like, it's melting. It just is in rough shape. So it's hot in England too.
Wow. And I do think, like, actually, this is sort of a cultural thing. So part of the social media one of the benefits of the social media world is that I've connected with a couple of friends who live down in Texas. And their life is just so different than ours. You know, they treat their summers the way we treat our winters. You know, like, our homes are designed to survive the winters, right? And our homes are designed to keep us warm, and we stay inside. We don't go out there. We seal up all the windows and doors, right? That's what they do in the summers, because everything melts. If you're outside in, like, Texas summer heat, it's just too much, and it's awful.
Isn't it the same thing in, like, Arizona?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Any of those southern, like, you know, way down there, that's how they adjust. And it's like, you have to make everything melt-proof, because it will melt otherwise. And I just think, you know, there's areas of the world
that it's hurricane season right now. That hurricane's heading up for Texas today.
Oh, man, really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I don't remember what the name of the hurricane is.
Oh, I don't really follow that.
Sorry, it's hurricane season, so it's crazy.
I don't know. Personally, if I had to choose between frigid ice and melting stuff, I'd choose the ice, especially when the melting stuff world comes with hurricanes.
Yeah, honestly, like, we complain about Michigan weather a lot, but we don't have tornadoes. Or we have, sometimes there are tornadoes. We don't have hurricanes. We don't have earthquakes. We don't have, you know, crazy large animals and spiders and garbage. Like,
basically what we're saying is Michigan is the best.
Honestly,
Everyone should live.
I may be biased, but Michigan is pretty much awesome.
It's the best. Okay, so from the Wall Street Journal, the jiggle is up. Bosses are busting workers who fake computer activity.
Okay.
So, do you remember Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
Yes.
Right? And he set up he rigged the whole thing, like his bedroom, so when they open the door, it makes him look like he's sleeping. And then in the Office TV show, he rigs up the fake guy so it looks like he's sleeping at his desk, which, why would that be better?
Yep, that's actually just as bad.
But, so, with the rise of remote workers, people are at home. And we know that, like, in the real world, people will go into an office and pretend to work, right?
Sure.
They don't really get that much done. They're just sort of on the company clock. Some jobs are sort of passion-oriented or project-oriented. It's like you have to get the thing done. But some are not. It's like, if to take, like, a cheesy example, but it's like data input entries, right? You just typing in numbers. And
pretty mindless.
And you just kind of do it. And you get paid the same amount no matter how much gets put in a day, right? So what people have been doing is now that they're remote workers, they are on, right? I'm remote working, but they're not working. They're at home goofing off doing whatever they want. So there's sort of a back and forth of the workers figuring out a way to be lazy, the bosses finding a way to catch them. Then the workers finding out a way to be lazy, then the bosses catching them. So the first level was the bosses installing awareness in the computers. Like, we know when your computer has been inactive. You haven't touched it. You haven't done anything.
Yep.
So that was the first level, was people were not doing anything. Then the bosses installed software that could tell when nothing had happened.
Okay.
So then the response was workers found ways to make it look like their computer was doing stuff. So, for example, some people would take a remote mouse, like a wireless mouse, and put it on a record player and then tape it in place so that the record would go underneath it, so the mouse would scroll in a circle on the screen so that it would trick the software into thinking...
What are we, toddlers? We can't actually do the work that we say we're doing? We got to be dishonest? What the heck?
It's this amazing thing. You know the little desk, like, I don't know what it's called. It's like a glass vial that has liquid in it, and it looks like a bird with a beak, and it like tips sideways, and then it like bobs back, and then it tips again, like the weight of the liquid, right? So they do one of those, and they have it on a weight thing, and they like taped a feather to it and have the mouse upside down, so the feather will make the mouse jerk erratically, and the little nose will push a button every 13 seconds or something.
So ridiculous.
Just setting up these elaborate contraptions to make the computer log movement so that the bosses will catch it. So the next level is companies' productivity tracking tools are getting more sophisticated in detecting when remote workers are pretending that they are busy.
There are no words. We live in such a cushy society.
Oh my gosh.
I just can't.
So yeah, the big story, and the reason my theory is that this is not that big of a story, right? But Wells Fargo is making it a big story, and I'm sure that they called up the Wall Street Journal and said, make a story about this to
let everybody know they're in trouble.
So they fired several employees for allegedly simulating keyboard activity to create the impression of active work. The methods for detecting the subterfuge have been around for a while, but unsurprisingly, they're getting smarter. So they are tracking how active they are at their computers. Most of the software systems, such as TerraMind and Hubstaff, these are the programs that are going on the computers. They also use machine learning tools that can identify repetitive cursor movements or irregular patterns on someone's computer activity. In addition, some worker monitoring software can randomly scrape screen images to check whether screen activity is changing as the computer mouse moves.
This reminds me of early 2000s. I'm working on my book report, Mom. Are you? No, I'm not chatting on AOL right now. What are you doing in there? Nothing. I'm working on my book report. Sending a million IMs to my friends. Yeah, that is so responsible. And wow, this is ridiculous. You know what? You could just say, okay, I realize it's cheaper to have remote work because then you don't have to buy an office space for people to work. But if you really... I just think this is so petty.
It's so...
We live in a world where there are no real consequences for people, and they can just keep doing whatever they want to do, and then they just...
And there's sort of two levels to it. On the one, I think it's a little fun. Like, I just think it's creative the way people are doing things. But it's like in The Office where they were like, haha, this is so funny that we're doing this. But, like, then they go and do their jobs, right? Like, or it's
be
like
an adult
funny for a movie for Ferris Bueller's Day Off. But, like, you can't do that every day. Like, you have to be a human being at some point. So on the one level,
be
it's
responsible.
like, if you did it one time for fun, just to see if you could get it to work, I think it would be fun to try and craft a clever thing.
Yeah.
But, like, ultimately, you gotta do
your job, man.
Gabrielle Judge, a career influencer who goes by anti-work girl boss on social media, provides links to a few more mouse jigglers on her Amazon storefront. She thinks they're useful for when remote workers finish up early or need to take care of an errand, but says they should be used wisely. So she's saying don't do it to skip work all day, but just if you gotta, like, go run an errand and you want them to think you're there.
You're not disobeying. You're just bending the rules.
Bending those rules. I do like this part. She says, ultimately, she advises workers to ask themselves, why do you need to use a mouse jiggler in the first place? Often it's a sign that you're in a workplace that values busyness over actual output. Which is absolutely true, I think, you know?
Yep.
And that's just no good at all. So
that's ridiculous.
I thought that was a funny kind
of
fascinating.
That is so bizarre.
You didn't even know that existed?
I didn't know
mouse
that existed.
jigglers.
And
it's a whole thing.
Honestly, it makes me sad that this is the current
Bottom line, that head massager you've got jiggling your mouse ain't going to cut it anymore. All right. Are you ready for Sponsor Your Life?
I am.
All right. What do you got?
So this past week, well, I guess last week, was the 4th of July.
Yeah.
And we just did so much fun stuff. Got a chance to finally, for the first time since, like, 2019. It's been like 5 years. We got a chance to go to the family picnic gathering that my side of the family does. And it was really good to connect with a whole bunch of people in my family that I have not seen in 5 years. Like, I mean, my aunts and uncles, my cousins, like, it was
so fun.
I wasn't really sure who would show up. Like, when I asked my mom if they were doing it this year, she was like, I don't really know. I'm not sure if anybody will go. And then my sister had said, hey, let's just go anyway. We'll make it just our family. It'll be the Bao family and, you know, spouses and kids and everything. And then heard word that there was going to be a bunch of people going. And I'm so glad that we went because it was really good to see everyone.
Forever.
Yep. So all of our crew, and then, you know, I got to see most of my aunts and uncles and couple cousins. So that was really, really good. Just to connect with everyone. We always go to like a county park and have, you know, bring potluck style.
Yeah.
And then we all go down to the beach afterwards and go swimming, and it's so much fun.
Kids had a blast.
They really did. It was just a really, really good day. And it was just a lot of fun to reconnect with people that, you know, there's been like this big gap since we've been there last. They were like, you've added like 3 new kids. And it's
true.
Been quite a busy 5 years. So it was just a lot of fun. So it was a good holiday, connecting with family.
It really was. It was so much fun. I'll second that hardcore. Let's see. What else is sponsoring my life this week? Just that, and then I guess what's sponsoring my life. So we did that, and then like the next day, I got a chance to go over and help your brother tear up his kitchen floor. Yeah, and that was just so fun. And I just in general DIY home projects with family or good friends who are willing to help out. That's been something we've done a bunch of times, and it's always been a lot of fun. We put in a little gate on our garden. We built the chicken coop. We built the tree house. Yeah. And, like, my brother came up and helped with most of that stuff. And now that we're over on the west side, it was like, you know, hey, you're doing a thing. Can I come help? And it was a ton of work. Holy smokes, we sweated out like most of the day. But it was
you guys were working there for a long time.
Yeah, but it was awesome. He bought us lunch, and it was like, all right, that's perfect. Awesome. Like, it was great. It was so fun and just good times, you know, to just get stuff done. Cool. And that was very like, it's just very satisfying. Yeah. You know, to like help someone and just get a project done. Because I do want to do a similar project eventually. I've got some dreams of working on our flooring when we can afford it. Yeah. And so I'm very excited to like have that knowledge of like how to do it. And so that was definitely sponsoring my life today.
Nice.
All right, let's move on to our hot topic.
Okay.
So, really, this was sparked because of a TikTok video that I saw. But I want to talk about LED screens and their use in popular culture and entertainment experiences. Okay. So, we have done a little bit of that kind of thing in our lives. Like, so for example, think about soaring on Disney.
At
Disney World, right? You put, it's kind of like a simulator. You get put into a thing, and they help you. It's an immersive experience, right? And you're in a little thing, and they put you in. So the screen covers like most of your world. You look in every direction, all you see is what the screen shows you, and it's really amazing. So I have two kind of things I want to talk about. The TikTok video I saw was a bar or like a club or something, and people were sitting and having drinks and eating, but their room appeared to be like sinking in the ocean. It was like waves were crashing all around them, and it felt like they were like going up and down like on a boat, but the boat was invisible or something like that. And it was very cool, but also like I cannot imagine that would have made me seasick if it was actually going on. And I was like, is this sort of the immersive experience? And now we've seen this in sci-fi a lot, but it's starting to become more and more of a realistic possibility. We're getting really good with fully immersive screens on every level. Yeah. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about the Sphere. Okay. Now, do you know anything about the Sphere?
Just a little bit. So I think we've talked about it once before.
Yeah, that makes sense because I think it's really cool and I've been kind of following it. So the Sphere is an event venue in Las Vegas. So it's a concert hall or something. You do big shows there. Okay. But every inch of it is LED screens, right? And it costs $2.3 billion to make. So this venue is massive. Yeah. But it's an experience like you've never seen before. So it's like, it's not just, hey, look, there's the band. And, sometimes they'll put like LED screens like a little bit behind the band or like flashing lights or something. Yeah. You see it in mega churches. They'll have like, different screens that do stuff. And then there's the big screens, of course, that help you see up close. But this one is like, hey, you go into this event and now it looks like we are in the middle of the desert. Like they just changed the scenery around you. Or now we are in the ocean. Or now we are up on a mountain. Or now, you can make it look like you are anywhere. And so I'm going to read this. So this is Architectural Digest. And so I'm just going to give you some highlights about the Sphere. Okay. So the brand new state-of-the-art structure, which is officially opened a couple of years ago, or months ago, October of last year. Okay. So 10 months? October? Whatever. Yeah. A while back, last year. And so it opened up, and it's so groundbreaking that some would rightly call it out of this world. So how do I say this? It's a living, breathing billboard which boasts 16K resolution LED panels that wrap around orb-like an exoskeleton. Crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So the outside of it and the inside of it is like this. Wow. You look at it from the outside, and it's pretty insane. But then you go inside of it, and so I think the first band to perform in there was U2. Right.
So, I think I remember you talking about that.
Yeah, because that was a whole big thing. I actually was listening to some stuff from people who went, and it was, that sounds crazy. The overarching objective was to create an immersive experience that engages the senses and transports fans and attendees to a new world. The structure facilitates this without any columns inside. Everyone in the audience enjoys an uninterrupted vantage point. So the idea is that you are completely surrounded by these screens. I think a decent parallel would be like Minority Report, where they plug you in and suddenly you think you are somewhere. But honestly, this is like bordering on the Matrix, right? Yeah. Where they like plug you in and suddenly you're transported somewhere. There's kind of a lot of movies that do this kind of stuff. True. What was the one? Total Recall. They like plug you in and suddenly you're just transported. You think you're in this immersive experience. And it. I also think of Cloud Atlas, where they were like, they had rooms and it was a concrete room, but then you sign it. And I guess I could just keep throwing pop culture references.
That movies that no one has seen.
The last one is Ready Player One, right?
I've never
Virtual. But it's like they put on the goggles and they're in another world and they're totally in this world. And I wonder if first I have a theory that this is like going to be the future of entertainment. Like in future years, this is what it's going to be.
I have a theory that I will never engage in entertainment again.
So yeah, what are your thoughts on this kind of a thing?
I don't know. We started talking about this the other day. I just feel like we love to remove ourselves so much from reality that, like, I don't know, it kind of takes away from life. Like, and I get it. Yeah. Like, there's, on the one hand, it's like, this is so cool, we could experience this, and it's like, I have so many thoughts, because I feel like, on the one hand, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer. I'm really not. Like, I that is so awesome that they can do that, and technology is so cool. But why would I bother to go out and enjoy an actual sunset with someone that I care about when I could just go to this cool thing and see it, like, you know, experience it in 3D or whatever, like fully immersive, like blah, blah, blah. I'm not really paying so much attention to, like, the people around me then, and I'm not actually enjoying nature itself. I'm like one step removed from actually enjoying the object or whatever, because I'm using technology instead. And it's like, I don't know.
I kind of think it has... So I think about, like, what I'm going to just make up and call the WALL-E effect, where you invent a technology that is designed for one thing, but then it over time becomes utilized for another thing, right? Yeah. I think about the virtual reality headsets, right? The Facebook Meta Oculus, whatever it's called. On the one hand, I think that would be really cool. And so when we were talking about this before, I kind of laid out like a hypothetical of what if you and I both wear goggles and you lay out your kitchen, right? And you set up chairs and tables and food and you put it on the plates. Then you put on the goggles and you've transported to like a Tuscan villa in Spain where you can overlook a sunset over the ocean. And we get to have our date night and eat our food that's like actually there on the table. And it's like we've been transported to a place we probably can't afford to go in reality.
Probably can't. We cannot afford
to go right? And so it's like that would be kind of cool. And I'm like, that would actually like enhance a date night, right? Like it would be you and I on a date night, but then we can do it somewhere far away via the technology, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's a cool starting point. But it's going to lead to less and less attachment to reality.
I don't want to be in my boring old home, sitting in my simple living room, eating my, bland meal. It's like, we can't just be satisfied with what is. We have to be wowed by what could be more. It's so American. I hate it. I hate it here.
Well, and I think it so in the reason I called it the WALL-E effect was that those chairs were designed so grandma could come with you on this vacation, but it ultimately ended up being everyone's mode of transportation was the little hover chairs because they got lazy, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think you could see this technology as like, oh, this could actually help us to interact and like we're connecting with people more. Mm-hmm. But then I think what will happen is that we will start to care less about
the connection and more about the technology.
Yeah, it will be more about the experience. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, well, why would I interact with a human being who is difficult to interact with when I could have like an AI personality convince me?
I think that another layer of it too that makes me sad and frustrated about it is like, it starts replacing actual travel. Yeah. And tourism will really suffer. Not that I'm like, we have to keep tourism alive. Like, not even that, but just like, go actually visit that place. If you want to visit it so bad, save up your money and actually go visit that place with someone you care about. Like, go travel. But don't be like, oh, I'll just go there in virtual reality instead. Like, I don't need to go to actual Spain. I'll just imagine that I'm there by putting on this headset or goggles or whatever and go to Spain. I think
it might start as like this is for some, this will help people who cannot. And then it will become what everyone does, even those who could have, right? Like those who could have traveled to Spain and they really like physically experienced the stuff. Why would you do that, right? You don't need to like go and experience things. You can just do it on these screens. And again, this detachment from the person. And this is one of the things that concerns me about the AI stuff is that we're making things that can talk to us. And we're already really bad at talking to each other. Yep. And as we get more and more into our silos and we don't like talking to people who might disagree with us, might challenge us, I mean, that's part of a relationship, right? And a little bit I'm worried about the younger generation who they don't have any of those skills of how to engage with someone you disagree with kindness and love. Yep. And so it's like, why would I? And then you've got the younger generation. One of the like alarming stats that people are always up in arms about is that young people are having less and less sex. and they're not even trying. And then the religious people are like, yay, they're not having sex out of wedlock. And it's like, no. They're not having any kind of physical contact with anyone because they don't know how. And it's like, they don't know how
This is not really actually a win.
Well, it's not, they're not doing it out of like loyalty to Jesus Christ.
It's not actual for ethical reasons
that's not a win, you know? And it's like, what's happening is just we're getting worse at connecting, I guess, is what I'm concerned about. And so I can imagine a time where it's like I use the AI to have a sit-down conversation with grandma who lives on the other side of the country. But then grandma is difficult and has opinions I don't like. So maybe I want to talk to AI grandma, who's not a real person, but makes me feel better. Yep. And so then suddenly you're immersing yourself in the world to have conversations with fake people instead of real people. And then it's like suddenly...
Because reality's hard.
Yeah, reality's hard. There you go. Maybe that's what I'm getting at. It's like these things seem super cool. And again, like you were saying, I love it.
But as a very good writer that I love, I read her book. Hard is not the same thing as bad.
Ooh, so love it. Who wrote that?
It's that Abby Halberstadt.
Halberstadt.
She wrote the M is for Mama, and then hard is not the same thing as bad. But like in our culture, we're told if something is hard, it's bad, so you must get rid of it. And it's not true. But I do feel like we live in such a society of cushiness and ease, and I want things to be, go well for me. I want it to be easy. I want to be able to have everything without having the difficulty of it. And it's like, because if it's difficult, it's bad. And so...
And not to put on my, like, preacher hat or whatever, but like...
Uh-oh, your preacher hat.
Not even preaching, but just my shilling for the church hat, right? Because the church is one of the few places where you're going to bump into people. Like, there's just, like... In a lot of places, and I know this is starting to shift as people sort of self-select out of communities, but the church should be, what it should be, is a place that is focused on Jesus. And there's nothing else uniting us, right? You get people from all different colors, nations, races, different jobs, different levels of money, but we all sit in the same seats next to each other and worship the same God. Like, that is the one thing that unites us in that place. You got all different kinds of people who have had, like, really clean lives and really, like, messed up lives, and, broken people and people who are whole or whatever. And it's like we are just this happy jumble. And that's what the church should be. And we're turning it into more of a production where you're audience members instead of congregations, instead of brothers and sisters. But it's like we need to push back on that. Like, we need to be in each other's lives. And it's harder, but that's what you do at church. You learn how to be with people who you disagree with. And sometimes you fight. And the church is a great place to, like, learn how to disagree with someone and like challenge someone. And I think it's messy, and I think a lot of people walk away. If you challenge me, I'll just go to another church. But the church could be sort of a healthy alternative to the detachment that we're getting with all this technology.
I do agree.
One other thing that I was thinking about was that as we get detached, so like you're talking about like the tourism, right, and the but also like once we have videos of everything the world has to offer, why would we care about caring for this world?
Yeah.
Right? And I think about the towns that have the litter problem. And it's like, well, I have video of a clean beach. So why do I care if I messed up? If I mess up the real beach. Like,
basically, we're just becoming Wall-E, JJ.
Yes, this is what...
This dystopian society is terrifying.
I saw this post, and it was like, Wall-E came out in 2008. We have still not changed any of our habits. And it's like,
it really came out in 2008?
I think so.
Oh my gosh.
Either way, like... It came out a long time ago, and we changed nothing.
Wow. Yeah, we really did.
We bought the movie, we watched the movie, we thought it was amazing, and then we threw the wrapper of the movie in the garbage and continued to walk towards the future.
Oh, boy.
So, I don't know. Immersive digital experiences, while very cool,
As with all technology, with great power comes great responsibility.
There you go. Way to go, Spider-Man. Is that Uncle Ben? Yeah, that's Uncle Ben. I love it.
Gotta be careful.
Hey, friends. Thank you so much for listening. I would just appreciate you so much. If you wanted to head over to Spotify, leave us a review, mash that 5 stars. We'll give you a shout-out if you do, or if they tell us who you are. There's also on Apple, you can actually leave us a review. You can like go on and like write a review and tell us who you are. We love to connect with people. We've had a lot of like friends like and family and like people we know in real life reach out, and that's been fun. Always fun to get reviews from people we don't know. We like those too, but Anyways, thanks so much for supporting this work we do. It's fun for us, and we hope you enjoy
difficult.
it.
It's Working with JJ is very difficult
to sit and chat and hang out.
Oh boy!
You ready to send us out with Mom Joke of the Week? Oh, and thank you so much to whoever makes our theme song. We like it a lot. Okay, now I'm ready.
Every time I take my dog to the park, the ducks try to bite him. That's what I get for buying a purebred dog.
Purebred.
Painful.
Painful. I love it, though.
Bye.
That was the best little laugh I've...
Sorry.